Welcome back guys to our channel Studying Sprout. Here we are with a new video, Interior of the Earth, chapter 3 of class 11th. This chapter deals with sources of information about the Earth's interior, direct sources, indirect sources, earthquake waves, propagation of earthquake waves, emergence of shadow zone, types of earthquakes, effects of earthquakes, structure of the earth, the crust, the mantle, the core, volcanoes and volcanic landforms, types of volcanoes, shield volcano, composite volcanoes, caldera, flood basalt provinces, mid-oceanic ridge volcanoes, volcanic landforms, intrusive forms, plutonic rocks, batholiths, laccoliths, lapolith, phacolith, sills and dikes. So here we'll get started with the chapter. First of all, we'll start with sources of information about the Earth's interior. There are two sources for information about the Earth's interior of the Earth. There are direct sources and indirect sources. So we'll read about direct sources, what are direct sources and how we find about direct sources. So here, direct sources are mining, drilling, and volcanic eruption. These are the examples of direct sources. During the process of mining and drilling, rocks and minerals are extracted, which gives information. And there are layers in a system in the crust. Crust is made up of many kinds of rocks and minerals. Volcanic eruption suggests that there is some zone inside the earth which is very hot and in liquid condition. Direct sources are not very reliable because mining and drilling can be done only up to some depth only. Okay. So next we will move on to indirect sources. Indirect sources are seismic waves, gravitational field, magnetic field, falling meteors, etc. are examples of indirect sources. They are very important for us to know about Earth's interior. Okay, they help us a lot. Movement of seismic waves suggests that there are 3 layers in the Earth and each layer has different density. This is suggested through seismic waves. Okay, and density of increases towards the center of the Earth. As we move towards the center, as we move to the interior of the Earth, the density increases. Okay, movement of seismic waves suggests 2 things. There are 3 layers in the Earth, and second, each layer has different density which increases towards the center of the Earth. Now we'll move on to the next topic, earthquake. What is earthquake? It is the shaking of the earth, natural event. It is caused due to release of energy which generates waves that travel to all directions. Now we'll learn why does earth shake. This is a very important question. You should always know why about geography, as I have told you in the first chapter. And if you have not seen my first chapter videos, please go and watch it so that it will be easy for you. Why does the earth shake? Now we'll move. The release of energy occurs along the fault line, okay, and when rocks along the fault line tend to move in opposite directions as the underlying strata press them, the friction locks them together. Okay. However, the tendency of movement overcome the friction. As a result, blocks get deformed. They slit over another. As a result, energy releases. This energy waves travel in all directions, and the point where energy releases is called focus. This is important. Okay, you have to learn that the point at which the energy is released is called focus. Okay, here it is given. It has given the focus and the point where it can also be called hypocenter. Okay, focus or hypocenter, and above the focus there is a point on the surface which is called epicenter. Okay, so these are the points you have to remember. Not all the points I have underlined you and told you. You just concentrately read and then you will get the points. Okay, now we'll move to the next topic, that is earthquake waves. All earthquakes take place in the lithosphere, that is 200 kilometer depth. Okay, an instrument which is called seismograph is used to measure the record wave. These are used to record the waves. Okay, earthquake and seismic waves. There are 2 types of waves. Okay, body waves and surface waves. So we'll read up all about these waves. Okay, now we'll learn about what is earthquake with respect to these terms. Okay, and we'll read about the reasons also why the earthquake happens. So sudden movement or vibration on the earth surface is called earthquake. I told you just now. So in other words, it can also be said that sudden release of energy due to tectonic activity. Okay, tectonic activity is the main keyword here, is called earthquake. An earthquake may be produced due to movement of plates. These are the reasons why earthquake occurs: movement of plates, rising of magma, folding and faulting, and the fourth one, violent volcanic eruption. Okay, when earthquake occurs, three types of waves are produced. Okay, they are called as seismic waves. There are also primary waves, secondary waves, or long surface waves, or P waves, S waves, or L waves. P and S waves are combined as body waves, or they move inside the body of the earth. Okay, they move inside the body of the earth, P and S waves. Then P wave is the fastest wave. It is also called as longitudinal wave. Okay, in between P and S waves, P is the fastest wave and it is called as the longitudinal wave also. Okay, these waves move forth and back. Okay, their movement is forth and back like a pendulum, like this is. Okay, they move forth and back, and these waves, in other words, P waves moves parallel to the direction of wave. These waves can both be in solid and liquid. See, the main points you have to learn is that P waves moves parallel to the direction of wave. If this is the direction of the wave, P waves will also in this direction only. So they both will be parallel. Okay, and it can also travel from both in solid as well as in liquid. So P waves travel both in solid and liquid. Okay, now we move to S waves. S wave is slower than P wave. Okay, it is slower and is also called as transverse wave. Okay, you have to learn, like P waves is also called as longitudinal wave, S wave is also called as transverse wave. It moves perpendicular to the direction of the wave. These waves move only in solid and disappear in liquid. Then L wave. L wave, just now I told, longitudinal wave. L wave is the slowest wave. It moves on the surface of the earth. It causes maximum destruction on the earth's surface. Okay, so you can see this is the recording of the seismic waves on seismograph. Okay, this is P waves, this is a P wave, this is S wave, and this is surface waves, or just now I told L wave. Okay, L waves provide less destruction. Okay, they don't do any destruction to you. Now we'll move on the next topic, focus. Focus, it is the point inside the earth's surface from where an earthquake starts. It is always hidden inside the earth. Focus of an earthquake may be found at the depth of 100 to 200 kilometers. Okay, now epicenter is a point on the earth's surface which records the seismic waves for the first time. Okay, maximum destruction from an earthquake is caused on the epicenter. Epicenter is located just perpendicular to the focus. Now P and S waves are called as body waves. P waves can pass through both solid and liquid, but S waves can pass only through solid. This is very confusing and you must always remember it. Okay, and you should not get confused with that. Always remember that P waves can travel through both solid and liquid, and S waves only through solid. Now seismograph, it is an instrument which records seismic waves on a paper. Okay, Richter scale is a scale which measures the magnitude of an earthquake. Okay, seismograph records seismic waves and this measures the magnitude of earthquake. In other words, energy released by an earthquake is measured on Richter scale, and generally it is from 0 to 10. An earthquake measuring 6 on Richter scale is 10 times stronger than 5 and 100 times stronger than 4. Okay, hope you got you are understanding me or getting my point, what I'm trying to make clear. So now a crust and upper part of the mantle is called lithosphere. These are the terms you should always remember. That's why I'm in point was I'm telling you that you should remember the terms, so that only you will be able to learn this or speak this or understand this chapter. Okay, crust and upper part of the mantle is called lithosphere. The opening through which magma comes out, okay, through a volcano is called as mouth or crater. The term is known as mouth or crater. When crater is collapsed due to a violent explosion, it is called as caldera. Now mid-oceanic ridge. What is mid-oceanic ridge? When plates move away from each other under the water of the ocean and magma rises up, it forms a long hill-like landform known as mid-oceanic ridge. You might have that mid-oceanic ridge of Atlantic Ocean is the best example. Like in Alps mountain is there. This is also the result of mid-oceanic ridge. I'll tell how mid-oceanic ridges are formed. See, if this is an area, okay, suppose this is a particular area, and if here plates, this is plates, this will be called plates only. If these plates move away from each other, apart from each other, so there a gap will be produced. Let me explain, wait. Here a gap will be produced like here and here, okay. So this gap is produced here. This is because the plates are moving away from each other, okay. So here gap will be produced, and when a gap will be produced, from there magma will rise up, okay. This is also one of the method how magma rises up. And magma rises up, then it forms a hill-like landform there. It's called mid-oceanic ridge. Here ridge is formed, ridge, okay. This is also only mid-oceanic ridge. Now we'll read about Mercalli's scale. It was developed by an Italian seismologist. It measures the destruction caused by an earthquake, and it ranges from 1 to 12. So see, here it has explained that the body waves interact with the surface rocks and generate new set of waves called surface waves. So these body waves, when they come up to the surface rocks and when they interact with surface rocks, they are called as surface waves. These waves move along the surface. The velocity of waves changes as they travel. The velocity of waves changes as they travel through materials with different densities, okay. The denser the material, the higher the velocity. You should learn this, that the denser the material, how the dense the material, the higher the denser the material, and the higher is the velocity, okay. It's simple, you have to remember it. Their direction also changes as they reflect or refract when coming across materials with different densities, okay. It is the point when their direction changes, okay. Their direction changes at this point, not velocity. You have to remember it very carefully. Then next, there are two types of body waves. I told you. I'm just taking it line by line, so I should not miss any point. There are two types of body waves. They are called P and S waves. So till here I've told you that P waves are known as primary waves, are similar to sound waves. These are similar to sound waves, and they can travel in liquid as well as solid materials, okay. And S waves are at the surface. There are some time lag, okay, between S wave is slower than primary waves, P waves, okay. So and P waves is the fastest one. So therefore it is written that surface waves come at the surface with some time lag. These are called secondary waves. An important fact about S waves is that they can travel only through solid materials. This characteristic of the S waves is quite important. It has helped scientists to understand the structure of the interior of the Earth. Reflection causes waves to rebound, whereas refraction makes waves move in different directions. So it is important. What is the rule of reflection? Reflection causes waves to rebound, whereas refraction makes waves move in different directions. The variations in the direction of waves are inferred with the help of the record and seismograph. The surface waves are the last to report on seismograph. These waves are more destructive. They cause displacement of rocks and hence our collapse of structures occur. So which are the most destructive waves? Surface waves, okay. Propagation of earthquake waves. How earthquake waves propagated? Different types of earthquake waves travel in different manners. As they move or propagate, they cause vibration in the body of the rocks through which they pass. So they cause vibration, okay. P waves vibrate parallel to the direction of the wave. So just now I told you these, I just told you in pointer form. I'm just taking because I should not miss any point, okay. So every point I have gone through every point. Just for your satisfaction, I'm going through every line by line, okay. So P waves vibrate parallel to the direction of the wave, and this exerts pressure on the material in the direction of the propagation, okay. This in the direction of the propagation. As a result, it creates density differences in the material, leading to stretching and squeezing of the material. Other three waves vibrate perpendicular to the direction of propagation. The direction of vibrations of S wave is perpendicular to the wave direction in the vertical manner, okay. The P waves were moving parallel to the waves, and this is moving perpendicular to the wave direction, okay. Hence they create troughs and crests in the materials through which they pass, and that is why you can see crests and troughs, okay, like this you can see. This is caused due to S waves, okay. Hence they create troughs and crests in the material through which they pass, and surface waves are considered to be the most damaging waves. Okay. Next we will learn about emergence of shadow zone. So what is, first of all, we'll read about what is shadow zone. So shadow zone, when earthquake takes place, all the places on the earth's surface do record the seismic waves, okay, and there are some zones where seismic waves, that is P and S waves, do not reach during an earthquake, and this is called the shadow zone. Shadow zones are formed due to two reasons, okay. The shadow zones are area where seismic waves do not reach, that is primary and secondary waves do not reach, okay. And so this is they are called as shadow zone, and there are two reasons why shadow zones are formed. Three layers in the earth, varying density of each layer, and liquid condition of the mantle is in semi-liquid condition, I would say, okay. So therefore it is primary and secondary waves do not reach there, because primary waves moves through solids and liquids, okay. Do you remember? I told you just now. So primary waves moves through liquid and solid both, but secondary waves, they only travel through solid, okay. So see here, it is in figure, it has told that, see, this primary waves, these are the primary shadow zone. Here primary waves have not been reached, okay. Primary wave shadow zone, it means primary waves have not reached here, and sorry, not there, it's here. This is primary wave shadow zone, okay, and this is the primary wave P waves shadow zone. It means primary waves have reached here, they have crossed here, and this area they have not came, okay. And second, P waves received here, okay. P waves here they have received, and these are the shadow zones of primary waves. So P waves shadow zone, how it forms. Ideally seismic waves should move in straight line, okay, but due to varying density of layer P, waves moves in a curved path. You just have seen in the figure, okay. So due to this, an area around the earth does not record P waves. So this zone is from 105 degree to 145 degree from the focus. See, I will show you 105 degree to 145 degree. See, 105 to 145 degree, okay. This is the reason where P waves are not recorded, okay. And then S shadow zone, it is larger than a zone than P wave shadow zone. It developed because S wave does not pass through liquid mantle of the earth. Therefore the zone from 105 degree all around the earth from the focus is called the S wave shadow zone, okay. From 105 degree everything is S wave shadow zone. Let me show you S wave shadow zone. This is S wave shadow zone, okay. From 105 degree to till here everything is S wave shadow zone, right. And in P wave shadow zone it is still here only. See, it's just here. I hope you understood this point, shadow zones. Now we'll move to types of earthquake waves, okay. So there are two types of earthquake waves, body waves and surface waves. 1 minute, I'll go through this topic line by line, so no line is missed, okay. Earthquake waves get recorded in seismographs located at far off locations. However, there exists some specific areas where the waves are not reported. Such a zone is called the shadow zone. The study of different events reveals that for each earthquake there exists an altogether different shadow zones. And I should just show you the figures. It was observed that seismographs located at any distance within 105 degree from the epicenter recorded the arrival of both P and S waves. However, the seismographs located beyond 145 degree from epicenter record the arrival of P waves, but not of S waves. Thus, a zone between 105 degree to 145 degree from epicenter was identified as the shadow zone for both the types of waves. Okay, just now I've seen and I've converted the entire line, okay. And for your confirmation, I'm reading line by line, because for some students it is from line to line, they are feeling comfortable, they read from books from line to line, concept is clear, then also they will go line by line. So for those type of students I'm reading, okay, from line to line. So the entire zone beyond 105 degree does not receive S waves. The shadow zone of S waves is much larger than that of P waves, okay. Shadow zone of S wave is larger than P waves. The shadow zone of P wave appears as a band around the Earth between 105 to 145 degree away from the epicenter. The shadow zone of S waves is not only larger in extent, but it is also a little over 40% of the Earth's surface. Okay, 40% of the Earth's surface. You can draw the shadow zone for any earthquake provided you know the location of the epicenter. I hope you understood that. Okay, you don't need more explanation, I hope, because of you're so grown-ups. So now we'll move on to types of earthquakes. Okay, so the most common ones are the tectonic earthquakes. These are generated due to sliding of rocks along a fault plane. And the second one is a special class of tectonic earthquake, is sometimes recognized as volcanic earthquake, and however these are confined to areas of active volcanoes. Okay, there are like body waves and surface waves. So we'll move on to the third point. In the areas of intense mining activity, sometimes the roofs of underground mines collapse, causing minor tremors. These are called collapse earthquakes. Okay. Ground shaking may also occur due to the explosion of chemical or nuclear devices. Such tremors are called explosion earthquakes. So these are the types of earthquakes with the names. Okay. Now fifth one, the earthquakes that occur in the areas of large reservoirs are referred to as reservoir-induced earthquakes. So now we'll differentiate earthquake on the basis of types. Okay, so there are two types of earthquake waves: surface waves and body waves. In body waves there are two types, P waves and S waves, and in surface waves there are two types, love waves and relic waves. So these are not in your syllabus, you just have to read surface waves. So body waves are generated due to energy generated in the Earth's interior. So these are why the body waves are generated. So just because the generated waves interact with the surface of the Earth, they interact with the surface rocks and generate other waves called surface waves. The velocity of the waves changes along with the density of material. Denser the material, higher the velocity. Okay, their direction also changes according to the density of the material. And just now I've told you these all the things. I'm just repeating because it's in line. Okay. Now, propagation of earthquake waves. When they travel in the body, they vibrate the bodies of the rocks. P waves vibrate parallel to the direction of the movement. Okay. It led to the density differences in the material due to stretching and squeezing. Other three waves vibrate perpendicular to their direction. They create troughs and crests over the surface. Now, and we have then read emergence of shadow zone. When earthquake waves are not reported, such zones are known as earthquake shadow zones. It is observed that seismographs located beyond 103 from the epicenter do not record the earthquakes. Okay. Now we'll read about the effects of earthquakes. Okay. So ground shaking, destruction to houses and buildings, landslides and tsunamis, soil liquefaction, that is solid soil becomes liquid. So soil liquefaction, damage to dams and reservoirs, fire accidents, destruction to transport and communication lines. Okay, so these are here more of effects of earthquakes I've given. You can read it all. Okay, now we'll move on to the frequency of earthquake occurrences. Okay, because these types we have read, let me explain you one by one. If you want, I'll explain you one by one it. Then frequency of the earthquake occurrences. Okay, the earthquake is a natural hazard. If a tremor of high magnitude takes place, it can cause heavy damage to the life and property of people. However, not all parts of the globe necessarily experience major shocks. We shall be discussing the distribution of earthquakes and volcanoes in some details in the next chapter. Okay. So they have told that the quakes of high magnitude, that is 8 plus, are quite rare. They occur once in 1 to 2 years, or whereas teeny types occurs almost every minute. Okay. Now we'll move to structure of the earth. First of all, the crust. Imagine a Scotch egg. Okay, the outer shell of the earth is called the crust, like breadcrumbs, and the next layer is called the mantle, that's sausage meat, and the next layer is called the liquid outer core, like egg white, and the middle bit is called the solid inner core, which is egg yolk. Okay, the deepest anyone has drilled into the earth is around 12 kilometers. We have only scratched the surface. How do we know that what's going on deep underground? There are lots of clues how we can know it all. Okay, the overall density of the earth is much bigger than the density of the rocks we find in the crust. So this tells us that the inside must be something much denser than rock. Meteoroids, which is created the same time as the earth 4.6 billion years ago, have been analyzed. Okay, and the commonest type is called a chondrite, that they contain iron, silicon, magnesium and oxygen, and others contain nickel and iron. A meteorite has roughly the same density as the whole earth. A meteorite minus its iron has a density roughly the same as the mantle rock, that is the mineral called olivine. Now next is the iron and nickel are both dense and magnetic. Okay, now scientists can follow the path of seismic waves from earthquakes as they travel through the earth. The inner core of the earth appears to be solid while the outer core is liquid. So S waves do not travel through liquids. Mantle is mainly solid as it is under extreme pressure. See below, like we know that mantle rocks are under extreme pressure. Diamond is made from carbon deposits and is created in rocks that come from depths of 150 to 50,000 to 6,000 degrees Celsius, 5,000 to 600 degrees Celsius. Okay. So these are all about crust, and in the book about crust it's given very little, only this much is given. I'm just telling you from different sources, just in point of knowledge, and from different sources I have collected, I'm telling you. So I'll recommend you to please note it down if you want it, because it's all about your knowledge. And in 11th class you don't have board pressure also, you just have to finish the syllabus. So read slowly and read wide, okay, with knowledge. So I recommend you pause the video and note down the top points which I'm telling you. I have been telling you from long. Okay, so note it down if those points are not in your book. So the crust is very thin, okay, about average 20 kilometer, and this does not sound very thin, but if you were to imagine the earth as a football, the crust would be about half millimeter thick. The thinnest parts are under the oceans, which is oceanic crust, and go to a depth of roughly 10 kilometers. Okay, and the thickest parts are the continents, which extend down to 35 kilometers on average. The continental crust is the Himalayas, is some 75 kilometers deep. The mantle is the layer beneath the crust which extends about halfway to the center. It's made up of solid rock and behaves like an extremely viscous liquid. This is the tricky bit. The mantle is a solid which flows. The convection of heat from the center of the earth is what ultimately drives the movement of the tectonic plates and causes mountains to rise. Okay. The outer core is the layer beneath the mantle. It is made up of liquid, iron and nickel. Complex convection currents give rise to a dynamo effect which is responsible for the earth's magnetic field. The inner core is a bit in the middle. It is made up of solid iron and nickel. Temperatures in the core are thought to be in the region of 5,000 to 6,000 degrees Celsius, and it's solid due to the massive pressure. Okay, now we'll move to the mantle. Okay, mantle. So a little less more is left of crust. Okay, crust is brittle in nature. Its thickness is 5 kilometer, and this under the oceans, thick under the continents. 3.30 kilometer under the oceans and 70 kilometer under the mountains. Density is ocean floor is 3 gram per centimeter cube. Mean density is 2.7 gram per centimeter cube. Okay, now we'll move on to mantle. So mantle is the second layer from the top of the earth. So it extends from Moho discontinuity to a depth of 2900 kilometer. The upper portion of the mantle is called asthenosphere, okay, which is in semi-liquid. And astheno is a weak, meaning of astheno is a weak. It extends up to 400 kilometer. Okay. Now it is the source of magma. Average density is 3.4 gram per centimeter cube of mantle. I'm telling these are the characteristics of mantle. Okay. Now crust and upper part, most part of the mantle is called lithosphere. Its thickness is 10 to 200 kilometer. Lower mantle is in solid state. Okay. Now core. We'll move on to core. core, it extends from 2900 kilometer to 6300 kilometer depth. It extends from 2900 to 6300 kilometer depth. Outer core is liquid while inner core is solid. Outer core density is 5 gram per centimeter cube and inner core density is 13 gram per centimeter cube. So you can understand that the more you go in central, the densest is the center part. Made of heavy metals such as nickel and iron, it is also called as NIF, N-I-F-E. So this is also known as NIF, N-I-F-E, and NIF layer. It can also be called as NIF layer. Okay, so till here only in this video, till here only, and in the next video we'll continue from volcanoes and volcanic landforms. Okay, so I hope you liked this video, and if you like my video, please share this video to your friends and family members, and please subscribe my channel to get more of educational content. Okay, thank you for watching.